I am standing on what used to be the second-story balcony of this house. There were 4 cars involved, not 5. That 5th car is actually a nurse who pulled over to try to help out with the accident. Talking about that slim margin, only 153 votes separated Lee Anderson and Rick Allen. The fire started here on this bottom floor. So a lot of water damage on the floor that you can kind of see right now. It was a little bit more full earlier, seems to be settling in. Up at the ceiling, you can see where the firefighters actually cut out part of the ceiling to get to that fire. But they say in order to put the concrete over, they need this sand to be really compact. I want to show you guys right now, the more rain coming in, it's actually, wow, really far down there. I'm a little bit stuck here. Scam artists try to reach you any way they can. From inside your mailbox, from the other side of the phone, and even in your inbox. Right now they are removing that car. Guys, you know, it just breaks your heart to look at that. That is the wreckage of the car that just drove by. You can see what this accident was and how quickly those lives were taken. They plan to open up the doors today, but they say it now may take a little bit longer to get this mess cleaned up. This is just one of the many places along Doug Bernard Parkway that has literally sunk down into the ground.
There was a lift right here.
Since he was 14, Tracy Hughes has dreamed of owning his own business, but he never expected it to come like this.
I opened the door and I seen it. The place was destroyed. The lifts were gone. The compressor was gone. There was damage to the building itself.
Broken glass and cut wires lay across a floor soaked with oil as Hughes and his crew worked to clean up the mess.
It was put away, and they just scattered and got whatever was worth any money.
On the outside, the cars are gone and the signs destroyed.
I was devastated. I was really sad.
Hughes was working as a mechanic for the previous owners of Performance Center. The landlord said they weren't paying the bills, so he asked them to pay up or leave. When they decided to go, Hughes saw his opportunity.
I thought maybe I could take a negative and turn it into a positive.
So 10 days ago, he signed the lease to open A1 Performance, Hughes Automotive. They plan to open up the doors today, but they say it now may take a little bit longer to get this mess cleaned up.
They've got my work cut out for me.
Work that's going to be a lot harder to do without equipment.
Well, without lifts, it's hard for me to do exhaust.
But Hughes says both his crew and his landlord have stepped up to keep his dream alive.
The landlord has pitched in, and he said he's willing to put me some lifts in there and help me, you know, so I think God's on my side, and I'm real happy. Hughes called the sheriff's office and made an incident report. As of close of business today, that report was not in the system yet, so it wasn't available, but we'll let you know more as soon as we know more.
And Hope, what a mess.
I know.
Any idea when he'll be able to actually open for business?
He says they're hoping to get it all cleaned up tonight. They hope to be able to do minor repair work by the end of this week, but he'll have to wait for that equipment before he can do much of anything else.
Just a big mess to clean up.
A lot of work.
Thanks for that, Hope.
She and her brother were inside that apartment when it all happened. That apartment is right here behind me. You can still see the crime scene tape up. Now, the GBI is still investigating. They are not releasing much about what happened inside that apartment. So all we're hearing is what is coming from the girlfriend. But she says to her, that's still a little confusing. Shanika Stevens was sitting at home early this morning when her boyfriend, Chaz Williams, came running through the door.
He said he was in a wreck. He had been running from the police.
Williams was on probation from a cocaine possession charge in 2011 and was driving with a suspended license when officers tried to pull him over.
He just should have pulled over, but he wasn't that type. He did not want to go back, so he was not going to stop.
That led to a car chase, a wreck, and Williams running from deputies. All of that then ended here in Shanika's apartment off Fox Trace Drive.
They came, basically threatened and buzzed down my door, banging at my windows.
That's when the Georgia Bureau of Investigation says multiple officers, including 5-year veteran Deputy Michael Woodard, entered the apartment looking for Williams.
And they opened up the bathroom door. He was already, beginning to cut himself.
Both Shanika and the GBI say Williams had a knife. Shanika says he was attempting to commit suicide.
They wouldn't let me see anything else, and I heard gunshots, and they escorted me out.
The GBI says Deputy Woodard was the only one to fire and fired multiple shots.
We have no evidence supporting the fact that any wrongdoing was done.
But most of what happened inside that bathroom is still unknown.
We'll continue to do interviews. Any witnesses that come forward, if we have to go back and re-interview or talk to any of the officers involved, we'll do that. And we'll just continue the investigation.
And Shanika says she's struggling for answers too, to questions from the couple's 6-month-old daughter when she's old enough to ask about her father.
I'm trying to maintain for her, but it's going to be hard. I mean, she don't even know him. She's only 6 months. She would never know him.
Shanika says she won't be able to stay in the apartment tonight, and she doesn't know if she ever will be able to. Again, the GBI trying to finish up those interviews, witness interviews, and the deputies who are inside by this afternoon. They're saying they should hope to have some more information to us in the next few days. Live in Augusta, Hope Jensen, News 12.
I feel like I'm going swimming right now.
Megan Hicks literally is swimming in the water that flooded the Groves apartment complex in North Augusta.
It's up past my belly button. It is up past my belly button, maybe to the bottom of my rib cage.
Cars submerged in water filled the parking lot.
I'm standing by my car, and the water is mid-thigh, and I stand 5'11".
Some tried to move their cars, and those cars are now filled with water.
The water's coming out now that it's up higher, but it was all the way up to the front seats.
I am standing in what is probably one of the shallowest points of water in this entire apartment complex, and it is up to my boots here. If you look behind me, it just gets deeper from here. That dumpster right back there has floated probably 100 to 150 feet across the parking lot and is now sitting in the center of it. People who live in the complex say they didn't think it would get this bad.
And I pulled in, and the water was maybe 4 or 5 inches. I didn't think anything of it.
And now Megan's just hoping the rain stops before it gets worse.
If it rains anymore, I don't think these apartments are going to be able to handle it. I think the bottom floors are probably going to flood.
News 12's Hope Jensen's been digging for answers as to why he was hired in the first place.
I want the board to know that they failed. They failed.
Ever since the mother of an alleged victim spoke those words at last month's board meeting, News 12 has been investigating how a man accused multiple times of groping female students continued to work in local schools.
That could have been anybody's child, but it was mine.
In March 2012, her 13-year-old daughter accused custodian Reginald Price of touching her bottom, and she wasn't the first or the last.
When this individual was first hired, the board policy was followed.
We obtained his employment application from January 2012 when Price applied for a substitute position. According to board policy, all he needed was a state background check.
We see now that that was not all that needed to be done. You're talking a person who had worked in another state and was a resident of another state.
Board member Jimmy Atkins says that's a big issue.
If a person was looking to get into our school system and cause harm to our students, if they did not have a criminal record in Georgia, but they did elsewhere, you know, right now we're an open book.
And now it's a policy that's being changed.
Whether you're coming in our school system as a substitute or a full-time regular employee, you need to go through the same process.
Price also lied on his application, answering no to a question about being fired or under investigation for unlawful activity. And under the employment history section, Aiken County Schools is missing.
If you don't know to check that as a reference.
When he was hired on full-time in July, the charges were still pending. But school officials say because it was a misdemeanor charge of third-degree assault and Price attended a pretrial intervention program, they didn't look into it any further, and he was cleared to be hired. But the victim's mother is still left with one question.
What happened in 2011? I know you can't discriminate and deny him of a job because nothing was there. But when my child came to you and told you what had happened, you should start looking right then.
Atkins says that fact is concerning, but the allegation in 2012 was investigated thoroughly. Pat Clayton, who was chief at the time, told me the original investigation was 17 pages long with interviews and video.
So really all of it comes down to the charge itself in Aiken County.
That's right. Third-degree assault is a misdemeanor, which is noted on the hiring forms. He still would have been cleared unless HR came back with questions, and they didn't.